Have you ever stopped to consider the absolute miracle that is human language? I don't mean just the grammar or the vocabulary lists you studied in school. I mean the very foundation of how we make sounds that actually mean something to another person. Deep down, it is a messy, chaotic, and fascinating process that philosophers like Quine have spent a lifetime trying to decode. Let's dive into this deep ocean of phonetic norms and the mind-bending concept of divided reference. Imagine for a second, you are a baby again. You are opening your eyes to the world, and you see a color. Let's say it is red. Now, how do you learn what red is? It is not like there is a single perfect point in the universe that is the only definition of red. No. Red is a cloud. It is a vagueness. Think of it as a target on a wall. If you hit the bullseye, that is the perfect red. But if you hit the outer rings, it is still red. It just sprawls out freely into different shades and brightness levels. This is what we call a norm. It is a central standard that allows for a lot of variation. And here is where it gets interesting. This doesn't just apply to vision. It applies to the very sounds coming out of my mouth right now. When we speak, we are constantly aiming for these phonetic targets, but we rarely hit the bullseye. If I say the word red, my pitch might be different. My volume might be different. Maybe I have a cold, or I am eating a sandwich. But you still hear red. Why is that? Because your brain is trained to correct my sour notes. It is exactly like listening to a singer who is slightly off-key. You don't hear a new song. You hear the intended melody, just performed badly. We take these continuous messy gradations of sound and we force them into discrete boxes. If I make a sound halfway between red and raid, your brain will snap it to the nearest valid word. It is a survival mechanism for communication. Because if we treated every slight mispronunciation as a totally different word, language would be impossible. We would have to be perfect machines. And we are definitely not that. Now, this brings us to a fascinating paradox. By limiting ourselves to a specific set of sounds, like the alphabet or phonemes, we actually gain infinite power. Imagine if we didn't have norms. Imagine if we tried to communicate using a continuous hum where every change in pitch meant a different shade of color. Low C is dark red. Middle C is bright red. It sounds cool in theory, but it would be a disaster. Because if you hummed slightly off key, you would be talking about a totally different color. Norms allow us to be sloppy and still be understood. They allow us to play the telephone game across generations. I can tell you a story. You can tell your children, and they can tell their children. And because we are all correcting the sounds to the nearest norm, the message survives. Without norms, the message would dissolve into noise after one generation. It is like rectifying a signal, correcting the errors before passing it on. Memory works the same way. When you remember a conversation, you don't remember the exact acoustic wave. You remember the words, the norms. You are relaying the message from your past self to your future self using these discrete boxes of sound. So that is the sound side of things. But what about the meaning side? This is where Quine takes us into even trippier territory with something called divided reference. Let's go back to being that baby. You are learning words like mama and water and apple. To us, adults, these are very different types of words. Mama is a specific person. Apple is a countable object. And water is just stuff. It is a mass of liquid. But does the baby know that? Absolutely not. To a baby, mama is just a recurring event. She appears. She disappears. She comes back. It is just more mama. Exactly the same way there is more water in the bathtub. Think about that. The baby sees the mother not as a solid, enduring object moving through space, but as a scattered history of experiences. Hello, more mama. Hello, more red. Hello, more water. They are all mass terms. The baby hasn't learned to cut up the world into separate objects yet. This is a huge cognitive leap. Learning that apple refers to a distinct countable thing is actually really hard. We have to learn that this apple here is different from that apple there, even if they look identical. Whereas water is just water. You can add water to water and it is still water. But if you add an apple to an apple, you have two apples. The child has to scramble up this intellectual chimney to understand concepts like same, another, that one, and not that one. It is a complex web of logic that we just take for granted. Imagine the confusion if a child thinks apples is just a word for clumpy apple stuff rather than individual fruits. How do we fix this? We engage them in sophisticated discourse. We say, no, not that apple. The other apple. Slowly, the child builds a framework of enduring physical objects. Objects that exist even when we aren't looking at them. And once this clicks, something amazing happens retroactively. The child looks back at the word mama and realizes, wait a minute. Mama isn't just scattered events like water. Mama is a single cohesive object that moves through time. She is a singular term, while water remains a mass term. Seeing the world as made of distinct things rather than just drifting sensory experiences is an achievement. It is something we learn. And it is built on this foundation of messy sounds corrected into norms and vague experiences sharpened into objects. So, the next time you hear someone speak or you look at an apple, remember the incredible philosophical machinery running in the background. We are constantly navigating a sea of vagueness and turning it into a solid reality. And that, my friends, is the true magic of words.